Hey guys, SmttnPegasus here, and I'm finally getting around to making this video. So, if you guys remember, I mentioned in a Winona Earp reaction way back in like mid-August that I went to New Mexico and climbed a mountain with my dad. And I did, and it was awesome. And I filmed stuff along the way so that you guys could kind of experience it with me, and here I am, 3 months later, finally making that video for you guys. Yeah, stuff happened. You know what? What of it, you know? It's been 3 months. It still happened. Still a thing that's real. So, yeah. We're just gonna get into it. But a little bit different, because I know I've done kind of sort of videos like this in the past, where I've kind of like, with like Pride and everything this last year. It's gonna be kind of like that, but it's gonna be more me telling you the story, and then I just kind of show you tidbits from the actual weekend, but mostly it's going to be me kind of being like, look, this is what happened, and it was awesome. But yeah, so we'll see. Let's jump right into it. We had to stop and like fill up with gas and everything. It was 12 o'clock in the morning on a lovely, slightly stormy August morning. Yay! Okay, so we're in the car. And we're at the gas station right at the edge of the town where my parents live. It's actually kind of storming, but we've driven through worse. And we're about to head out to New Mexico. So, pretty excited. It's going to be a good weekend. My Wi-Fi on my phone is officially turned off. And aside from doing occasional updates every couple of hours on my phone, it's pretty much the only time I'm going to be on my phone this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to really just unplugging and experiencing this. It's going to be great. Alright, so, as you can tell, I was tired, but ready for a long drive. So, the mountain we were going to is just outside of Santa Fe. It's about an hour or so outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's called Pedernal. It's right next to a lake. I cannot pronounce it. I am so sorry, but it's bad. Let's just say I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try because I really don't want to butcher it. But it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. But that also means driving there takes a good 12, 13 hours. So the next time I decided to go ahead and do an update, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning if you count time change and everything. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So you'll get to see that. I was very tired. Alright, so it's probably about 4:30 in the morning. We just hit Amarillo, so this is our first stop. Tired, but we're excited. It's gonna be fun. We've got about another six hours or so. So yeah, not even halfway yet. But this is the hard part. Once we get to daylight, then it'll get easier. Gotta get there though. So after that, I basically just completely passed out, so I don't have any more updates about the drive down there for you guys. But after that, we actually made it into Santa Fe, which Santa Fe is gorgeous, let me tell you. It is so nice. And so we decided to go to downtown Santa Fe and have breakfast before we even went to our campsite. So like I said, we went to downtown Santa Fe, and I couldn't resist but do some filming while we were walking around. And it's gorgeous. All of downtown Santa Fe is all of these like adobe structures, and it's just the not weird, but it's just the most different town I've probably ever seen in my life. Where in like the museums, and there's art galleries and stores and just little nooks and crannies everywhere, and it's just so gorgeous and unique, and I love every part of it. It was so much fun to get to explore everything. And then we saw, I believe it's the Native American or the New Mexico Museum, which I didn't get a great shot of it there, but then they also had this all set up, which we didn't actually get to walk through there because it was closed the day that we were there. but it was very interesting to get to see it all. But we did get up closer to that museum, and I was able to get a pretty good shot of the columns, which looked like they were all hand painted and were just gorgeous. And I wanted to hug them, but I understood they were also art, and you shouldn't touch art. That's bad. So, and then we were walking around. We actually got a little lost, and I found this fountain, which I thought was super cool. But yeah, we ended up getting a little lost walking around downtown Santa Fe, because you can get turned around real easily. Not to mention that there was a bandstand, so like some of the streets dead-ended and some of them didn't, and so we got really turned around after breakfast, which we ended up eating at a really nice place. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head 3 months later, but it was pretty good. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't the greatest I've ever had, but it was pretty good. So now we had the drive out of Santa Fe to where we were camping, which there is another little town in between Santa Fe and where our campsite was called Español. So we did have to drive through that town first. But one of the things that was great about driving out there is you just slowly get away from the city, and you just end up seeing all of this artwork on the side of the highway, and it just becomes more rural and less populated, and it's just gorgeous. So just driving down the road and seeing all this stuff and seeing all the mountains slowly getting bigger and bigger as you get closer to them is just so awesome. So I mean, we were just going and just seeing all of the mountains, and sometimes there would be big houses out in the distance that was so cool to get to see these, and wondering like, who lives there? Who lives in this strange giant house out in the middle of nowhere? Wish I could live in the train. And then and even outside of Santa Fe, you see all the bridges. Every single overpass that we drove under was decorated like that. It was absolutely awesome. And I think this is coming up to where we can finally start seeing the actual mountain up ahead. You still can't quite see Pedernal from this angle, but it's right behind that peak that's right there in the distance. So that was pretty fun. We ended up getting to the campground and making really good time when we got there. And we actually got there a little too early, so our campsite was still occupied. So we could not actually set up camp yet. But we had time. We weren't planning on climbing the mountain the next day. So we actually, once we got checked in and made sure that we had our reservation for our campsite, we decided to go back to Santa Fe. Even though we were just there, we decided to go ahead and go back to Santa Fe, mainly because one of my favorite artists of all time, her museum is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And if you know anything about it, Santa Fe, New Mexico has the Georgia O'Keeffe Art Museum. I love Georgia O'Keeffe's art. I actually, right here, from the trip, have this lovely little wonder. I'm trying to get it without the glare, which is really hard. So this is one of her pieces. It's known as the Red Canna. It's one of her classic pieces. I'm planning on getting a really good frame for it and getting it put up. Obviously, it's 3 months later. Still haven't done that. But I will, eventually. I absolutely love it. When I saw that they had it, I had to buy it. I had no choice. But while we were going, we actually ended up parking, and then we had to walk a little bit. And we found this hotel, which is the coolest hotel I've ever seen. It looks like it should be the setting for like a Western, Remember the Alamo castle type setting, and it's so cool. We weren't staying there, obviously, but it was really cool from the outside. No idea what the inside looks like, but it was really cool from the outside. But then, like I said, I did do a little bit of an update before we actually went into the museum, because I was really, really excited.
Okay, so we're back in Santa Fe. We swung by our campground, but we're back. We're about to go to the Georgia O'Keeffe Art Museum, which I'm very excited for. She's one of my favorite painters of all time. I'm under a tree, so pretty excited. It's gonna be great. Probably won't have much of anything in the museum though, just because, it's a museum. But anyway, let's go.
So, I wasn't actually able to film inside of the museum simply for, museum reasons, which makes perfect sense to me, but they were super nice about actually allowing you to take pictures of the artwork. And they did have certain areas of the museum that you could not take pictures, but they did allow a lot of us to take photographs if we'd like to. So I actually do have quite a few pictures of the artwork. Like this is the Belladonna, which is one of her classic pieces. Anyone who has seen, like tons of people have probably seen this piece, and maybe they don't know that it's by Georgia O'Keeffe, but it is one of her more popular, more famous pieces. I love it. I love her flowers. Obviously, I bought the red canna. I love it. I also took a picture of the black hollyhock and blue larkspur, which again is gorgeous, but one thing that the picture really doesn't capture is this looks so real. It looks almost, has a sheen to it. It almost looks like velvet. It's such a deep, rich capturing of the colors. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely breathtaking. And then one thing that kind of shocked me, well, shocked isn't the right term, but that Georgia O'Keeffe actually did skylines when she lived in the city. Most people know everything from when she was living in New Mexico and was doing the skulls and the landscapes and the flowers, but she did do a lot of cityscapes when she was living in different cities, which again, they're still gorgeous, and she has such a mastery of color. It was so amazing. And of course, you can't say no to the yellow calla lily. It's gorgeous. It's just such a simplicity, but has such a good flow to it. And the pops of yellow from the actual flower, it just is really great. Then, of course, this is Winter Tree 3. I mean, I guess she did a lot of variations, which, I mean, it just kind of looks like a dead tree during winter. But again, the movement of the piece is what I really loved about that one, and just kind of going through all of them. This one I really like because it has so many different layers. It's got the antler in the foreground, then it has the skull cap from like a deer, and of course more belladonna flowers. But if you pay close attention, right underneath the skull cap between the antlers, you see that shadow of a mountain there in the background? That's Petternal. That's the mountain that by the end of this video you will know that I have climbed. I love it. Which leads to the Petternal section of the museum, where Georgia O'Keeffe probably painted, drew. I mean, she lived where she could see Petternal out her back door. So she drew it probably hundreds of times in her lifetime. And so from left to right here, we've got the first one on the left. I think it's the left for you guys. It might be the right. I'm not sure. My camera sometimes inverts things. So the one that is by itself, doesn't have two, just by itself, that's actually just a painting called Petternal. It's probably one of her most well-known pieces of that particular mountain. And then you have the one next to it, the long one. That's going to be the ghost in the middle. It's called Ghost Ranch Landscape. So that is actually the view from her land at Ghost Ranch. Again, gorgeous. I mean, Petternal just cuts such a nice shape. And then you have the small one above, on the top of the two. That's Road to Petternal, which is actually, you can see going over a hill, Petternal in the distance. Gorgeous. I couldn't actually make out what, I think it's because when I took the picture, the big white one there at the bottom is a pencil drawing of Petternal, but it really washed out in the picture, and I couldn't even tell what it was enough to be able to look it up later, and I didn't take a clear enough picture of the nameplate, so I don't even know what that one is, but it was a pencil drawing or pencil sketch of Petternal. Georgia O'Keeffe Art Museum, although obviously I love it, is a little small, so it didn't take us too long to go through the museum, which it was amazing. And of course, went to the gift shop. I got my red canna. I also got a shirt. Okay, well, I did get a shirt, but it is currently in the wash, and I don't feel like digging through to find it right now. But I'm fairly certain if you go back to my Winona Earp video, I'm wearing it in that video. It's a Georgia O'Keeffe. It's honestly the softest t-shirt I think I've ever had in my life. And it has an outline of Petternal with Georgia O'Keeffe's signature on it. It's Primo, gorgeous. I love it. It's one of my favorite shirts now. But we still had a ton of time to kill before we really needed to get back to the campsite and set up and everything. So we decided to just kind of go around, and let me tell you, downtown Santa Fe is absolutely full of art galleries and shops and knick-knack places, and there was people set up with like silver and jewelry and everything like that in the courtyards. It was so much to take in. And honestly, in one of the galleries, I couldn't help but take a picture of this. I try not to take pictures in art galleries because that's just kind of taboo, but I couldn't help but take a picture of this. I mean, look at it. Look at that horse. What is he doing? I don't know. Looks like he's having a good time, though. It was a lot of fun. And then while we were walking around, we actually got lost. We couldn't find our way back to where we'd parked the car. Got very turned around in downtown Santa Fe. But while we were turned around and whatnot, we saw this, which is a dragon attacking a building in downtown Santa Fe. It was another art gallery. It was closed, though, so we couldn't actually go inside of it. But I had to capture the fact that they had a metal dragon sculpture wrapped around the building. I thought that was super cool. So after all of that, we actually did find a place to eat.